Okay, that's it. Well, hi everybody. I want to echo Esta's wishes to everyone for a happy, healthy, safe, and sweet new year. And thank you for being on the call this evening. Uh, Esta asked me to do a sort of refresher course on board responsibilities and building teams. And since we are recording, we don't need a secretary, but if you want to take notes for yourself, please. I want to start with something I read, and it's called How to Be a Macher on Any Jewish Board. 1, never arrive on time or you will be stamped a beginner. Don't say anything until the meeting is half over. This stamps you as being wise. Be as vague as possible. This prevents irritating the others. When in doubt, suggest that a subcommittee be appointed. Be the first to move for adjournment. This will make you popular. It's what everyone is waiting for. So that is from aish.com, and it's just a little bit of humor to start off our evening. So the first thing I want to remind everybody is a member of the region board, you're representing Women's League for Conservative Judaism. So it's important that you're aware of the mission and uphold the standards of leadership. And the Women's League mission is to strengthen and unite synagogue women's groups, their members and individual members, support them in mutual efforts to understand and perpetuate conservative Masorti Judaism in the home, synagogue, and community, and reinforce their bonds with Israel and Jews worldwide. And then, of course, the standards of leadership are just being observant of the halacha when you are at a Women's League event or organizational program of some sort. And that means observing Shabbat and Yom Tov, no emails on Shabbat and Yom Tov. That's a good reminder for this weekend coming up. Rosh Hashanah doesn't end until Sunday evening. To continue with Jewish study, observing kashrut when you're in a Women's League group, giving tzedakah, which includes giving to Torah Fund, being supportive of your synagogue, and being supportive of Israel. So, and just a quick reminder of what is Women's League. It's a network of individual members in 400 sisterhoods throughout North America that support synagogue and women's groups through innovative programming materials designed to educate and activate members of every age. We have customized consulting services to help every sisterhood, and Esther's already referred to us, the consulting services group, training people on how to use Zoom, and having our sisterhood presidents workshop. And we're here this evening with, well, I'm here this evening with the region board. You have region networking opportunities with like-minded women, and we provide leadership development. And Women's League is the voice of the women of the conservative movement, representing its membership at a wide array of national, international, religious, and social action organizations. Okay, so that's the informative items there, but now I'd like to ask you some questions. How many of you have been on the Women's League website recently? Like within the past couple of weeks? Oh, good. All right. So have you seen some of the new programs and initiatives that Women's League has? Okay, can you name something that is new?
Our mitzvah program, bat mitzvah program.
That's right, the bat mitzvah program. And in line with that, there's also the Hebrew classes. And I have to tell you that the Hebrew classes oversubscribed. They don't have enough teachers because they're trying to keep them small, and they are looking for Hebrew teachers. They have beginning and intermediate Hebrew classes going, and that's how interested our members are in learning that. The bat mitzvah program, there isn't a limit on the number of people, and that also has a number of women that have signed on. There is a new per capita page that shows some of the other things that Women's League is now doing. This is going to be going on the website if it isn't already, but Esta has it, I believe,
Yeah.
and can share it with you. And these are the services to the sisterhoods. These are the organizations over here that Women's League is a member of or supports. Some of the new programs, along with the resolutions, and Artists was part of that workshop at convention about advocacy and resolutions. They have Divrei Nashim are being added to. Women's League Reads, of course, is a very popular group. A couple of hundred women are on those calls. Personal Conversations, Health and Wellness. One of the other new programs that is coming up is Friday Night at Home Together. That's going to be done by the programming team, where women will get together on Zoom and learn about the blessings and challahs. You already had a challah bake with Edna Schrank, which is available, I think, to watch online now. But they'll talk about how to do a Friday night family celebration. So those are some of the things that are now coming up with Women's League. We do have so many things going on, and with Zoom, Women's League has been able to quickly pivot, because we've been using Zoom for a couple of years already, to doing all these other programs online. If you go on the website and you do see anything that needs to be changed, please let Rabbi Ellen Mullins-Fields know, because they are in the middle of updating the website. There are some things that need to be archived, and some things that, like that per capita flyer I just showed you, needs to be also posted on there. So does everybody here get Women's League Week? Is there anybody that does not get that? Okay, so you've already seen what was in there. You know that Rabbi Ellen has weekly Words of Torah, all the programs that are coming up for the week. That information, as a region member, you should be sharing with your sisterhood and any other sisterhoods with whom you are in contact. So Robin, you're Torah Fund Chair, and even though that's your focus, if you happen to be talking to somebody at that sisterhood, you might want to say, hey, did you hear about this new initiative that Women's League is doing? Maybe your members want to do. Because if the region doesn't share that information, it doesn't always get out there. And even if you share it with the sisterhood presidents, we know that not all sisterhood presidents share the information. And there is a lot going on that our members just don't know about. And that's one of the things that we ask that you do. Okay, so now I have some questions for you to put into the chat. So what was the driving force behind you joining the region board? I mean, why did you join, and why do you stay? It's just easier to put it all into the chat than to have a lot of people.
I wanted to tell our board members that have sisterhoods that they're responsible for. I will send out that new per capita flyer that Renee just shared. And if you want to share that with your sisterhoods to make sure, if they've not been on our website, that this is what they're missing out on, and this is what per capita gives them. And in this Zoom age, we are so blessed with what we have to offer. Oh, Harriet, I like your answer.
Yes.
It was truthful.
Yep.
It's okay. That's fine. See, you were all asked. Asked, and that's important to know, okay? Because if you want to build your board and your teams, which we'll talk about in a little bit, asking is the number one way of getting people involved. Because if you don't ask, they can't say yes. Okay, what benefit do you derive from being on the board? And what contributions have you made or can you make to the region? Some people are typing, some people are thinking. Okay, and if you don't have the ability to type in the chat, you can raise your hand. Engagement, meeting people. Good and welfare keeps everybody, it keeps people connected. That seems to be the overwhelming reason why people belong. It's to stay connected. We asked this question at my sisterhood board, and it was friendship. That was one of the answers too. It doesn't mean that, it doesn't have to be about the business part of it. Okay. And
Elaine had her hand up.
okay.
I've been a sisterhood board member since 1965. And I think it's part of my life. It's tattooed on my heart, I guess. And I wouldn't know what to do without it. And every year I think, well, this year I won't be on the board. I'll say no. And for some reason, it just continues. But it's been since 1965. I was a young mom with babies. And I don't know how
Really
we did.
young mom.
Very, yes. Yes.
It's just
thank
part
you.
of the life. I run the gamut of all these committees. I don't know what I'll do next.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, though. I appreciate that answer. Okay. So now you can raise your hands. What do you see as the job of the region? Okay, Esther?
To educate our sisterhoods and connect them, and we're not our mother's sisterhoods. And that's the hardest message to get across to a lot of our sisterhoods in our region.
Any other ideas on that?
Membership VP.
So,
Okay. Go ahead, Debbie.
so I think as part of the region, we need to educate on the women's league level so that they know and get ideas from our sisters internationally. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that we're not just this little group here on the Northeast, we're all over. And I think the involvement with the region gets you into that women's league, huge involvement, and that's the best part.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts? Okay, so education seems to be
education and somewhat of also a bridge, I think, between, I know we go back to our local sisterhoods and talk about what's happening on the, the international level. So sort of also this bridge in between the local and the international, and then we're sort of in between, like sort of bridging.
excellent, an excellent analogy there. Yeah, being a bridge. So thank you. Any other thoughts on that? Okay. So why would other women want to be a member of the region community? If you wanted to say to somebody, join the region, what are you going to tell them? That's a tough one, huh? Because I understand. Okay, Judy, go ahead.
As you meet people beyond your own sisterhood, you meet people from all around the area that you wouldn't know otherwise.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because if you're looking, Esther mentioned, you're looking for a conference chair. So how do we sell that to somebody? Debbie's heading the nominating committee, correct? You're heading it?
Yes.
Debbie? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I know you're on it, but I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to have to decide what your region is, what it does, and why it's a benefit to other people to be a part of this. Not just what they can do for you, but what you can do for them.
And I think about when I met Rima Rydell. Rima belongs to Judy Meyer's sisterhood. And you know, I paid my sisterhood dues for years, but I wasn't involved. I didn't do anything. And then I was asked to be a conference chair. And it was like, I haven't done anything. But I have met the most amazing women all over the country. And Rima is a hoot, and she's a belly dancer, and she's doing meditation now. And it's so nice when I walk into BSBI for a Shabbat program or any program to see Rima or to see Sally, and always to see Judy. I get to see her too. But it's all those women across the country. And I wrote that my buddies. So previous to being region president, I was Torah Fund VP, and a group of us Torah Fund VPs went on to become the region presidents. And there's 4 of us that are extremely close, and we've been together for 5 years now. And we know stuff about each other, and they're my buddies. Debbie Batan's my roomie because we room together. And, you know, it's a great organization. I don't know. I feel that there are many regions that are struggling, but I feel that we're struggling even more because we just don't seem to be doing what a lot of other regions are doing.
So what you just said now about connecting with people outside of this region, what everybody's been saying about connecting, is that message getting out there? Is that being communicated within your region? Or is it just, this is what Women's League is doing this week, this is what, you know, this is our next program? Does anybody write a message? I mean, do you take turns writing about why you belong to the region and why other people should consider joining and being a part of the board or a team member or something?
I think over the years we've written, or I've written about articles about that, and Rumi wrote articles like that. And maybe now, instead of me writing an article every single week, some of our board members should write what Women's League means to them, or what being part of the region means to them, or who did they meet, or what program, or exactly what we're talking about now, so that the 800 people that subscribe to our Constant Contact can read that.
Yeah, it might help Debbie when she's looking for people to join.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of sisterhoods that do not belong to this group. They're unaffiliated.
Correct.
They at one time were part of the group, but are no longer. And there's one local synagogue here that I know the new president very well. And it was an issue of funding is why they dropped. They did not want to share that dues structure. They didn't want to give that portion away. And I'm just wondering if there isn't something we could be doing to bring these other synagogues back into the fold to increase our numbers. They're still active as sisterhoods, but they're not regional. They're not national. And they're missing out on all this programming. And maybe we have to start thinking about how we can re-educate to bring them back into the fold.
So a vice president of membership would have been very advantageous to do that. Are you talking about a synagogue that's in our town, Elaine?
Yes, and I'm very friendly with the new president.
Okay,
And
so
we went for a walk
they
together
have,
today. I tried to talk to her about it. And it was all a financial issue, but it was so many years ago, these people have forgotten. And I think maybe they need to be reintroduced
so
to
as
the Women's League.
as part of my presidency, my goal was to affiliate and work with the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs, because they have brotherhoods where we don't have sisterhoods, and we have sisterhoods where they don't have brotherhoods. And I've asked, I've written for someone to take this project on. And I don't have anyone that wants to take this project on. I've met with the Federation Men's Club presidents. I've met with them in person. I talked to them on the phone. We exchange emails, but I'm only one person, and I don't want to do it all. I want to have a team that's going to work with me to bring that to fruition. All I asked for was an Excel spreadsheet with all of the conservative synagogues in New England, with sisterhoods and with men's clubs.
You know, I understand what you're saying about how you're looking for a person to take on a project. But sometimes the one-on-one connection, like Elaine is talking about, walking with somebody and talking to them about Women's League and maybe sharing the per capita sheet or just some of the ideas, or sharing what Women's League has done this week and why, if they pay that $15 per member dues, that per capita, that they get a lot from it. And maybe even if you don't get the sisterhood, perhaps you'll get an individual member or two that will join and participate and then build from there. You cannot discount those one-on-one relationships. That is very important.
So I would say to you, Elaine, I'm happy to social distance with you and your friend at Starbucks or wherever and talk about, Women's League and what we do offer. And if they're in financial trouble or straits, or, they can talk to our financial team. We do have sisterhoods that pay a reduced rate.
I actually will talk about that. I didn't realize that.
There's also an affiliation.
I'll have that conversation.
International chair who can help you.
Right.
That's right. It's Iris Lasky. She's also
Right.
from the PSW region.
She has more ideas than you have, Aspirin.
Yes. In fact, she just reaffiliated a sisterhood that hasn't been part of Women's League for a very long time. So, yes. And Esther can get her contact information for you and share it. Okay. One other question. What is your region image out there? Do you think it's positive? Do you think there are places where you can improve it? What are people saying about the region?
I wish they would talk about it.
I was just going to say, I don't think some of them even get the idea what the region is. You bring back ideas and you say it, and they just kind of look at you like you've got three heads.
I think if you look around at the women who are speaking on the phone right now, I don't think there's very many sisterhoods that are represented here. And I think it shows that we have a very distant relationship. For some reason, you don't have a whole lot of get-together, and the region has not been what it might have been in the past. It is not now. And it's not anyone's fault. It's over time, things have changed.
That's right. And it's not just Women's League. There are just people aren't joining as much as they used to. And part is because they don't see the benefit. And you do have some programs that you have coming up, and hopefully that'll bring in some other people and seeing what the region does. But again, maybe that's something that you can put together, some sort of a membership affiliation form, flyer, or just what is our region, and talk about it. Talk about the states that are involved and how far flung your sisterhoods are, and maybe get that word out. It's not easy. Not everybody opens constant contact, even if it's in there. It's usually about a 25 to 30% open rate.
We're in the 30s, actually. Our open rate is pretty good.
Yeah, you're very good then, because most nonprofits are not that high.
Right.
So I have encouraging, news. We sent our dues out 2 weeks ago tomorrow. Our financial treasurer keeps me posted because I helped her with the mailing. We've already got dues in from 100 women out of 200, and that's within 2 weeks. And we thought for sure it wasn't going to be a good year.
Yeah. Well, is your sisterhood providing programming?
Yeah, what we've started, and we have a lot of Zoom and
Okay, yeah. And that's a point too, that some sisterhoods have not done any programming since March. And I don't know if any in your region are like that, but those are the sisterhoods that as region board members, you should reach out to and see, can you help? You know, we haven't seen you, or you know, we can help you with programming. You can just hook on to Women's League programming if you're not doing any of your own. So that's,
Can you share your calendar with us? I mean, we keep on asking.
that's right.
So we go to the individual synagogues' websites and find out what they're doing for programming.
Right. Right. And there are some sisterhoods that don't even have a page or a place on the website. So
right.
Just so you know, you may not find it. Okay, so this is just a brief reminder of what your role is as a region leader. Let's see, is this that's the wrong one. I have two of them. One was a short form. And let's see. Sport orientation. It says for screen share. Okay. Well, we'll just do that. So, as a region leader, these are the things that you should be doing. Interpret Women's League policy and programs, encourage participation.
Could you make that? It's not showing the whole.
Oh, okay. Let me see. That's not, I'm looking for the one that.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So it was the right one that was sharing. It was the wrong one that was in front on my screen. Okay. Thank you, Bonnie.
You're welcome.
So these are the things that a region leader should be doing. And some of them we've talked about. But you should be interpreting Women's League policy and programming, encourage participation in the region and Women's League activities. We talked about the bridge, channeling information from region to Women's League and Women's League to sisterhoods. Publicize the work and the goals. Now this is key. To be an effective board member, you should know what your expectations are and your limitations. If you're not sure about an assignment, ask for clarification. Deal with challenges professionally, no matter how frustrated you may be about something, which does happen. Do what you say you will do. Be open-minded. Take risks. You know, if you've been doing the same thing for a lot of years, maybe it's time to switch it up, like joining Southern at their conference, you know, doing a joint or hybrid conference. That's a great new opportunity. And that's a way, when you're advertising it, you can advertise it to your region members to say, oh, look, we're going to meet women from another part of the country and share with them and talk with them. And improve the culture and collaborate and make it so that other women ask what you are doing and how she can be a part of the board. Okay, so as a board member, these are the specific responsibilities, and these are the things that you really need to focus on too. Be informed about the organization's mission, services, policies, and programs. Send your reports for board meetings 5 days before the meeting so that the president has a time to review them and can then share it when she sends the agenda out to everybody. Be prepared at meetings and events with materials and well thought out ideas. Read all the emails that come from your president and from your region and from Women's League, because not everybody opens those emails. It's one thing, you know, I can't open them today, but you have to get to them. Let's see, attend the board meetings, you're all here, attend your region events, suggest possible nominees, which Esther asked for today, for people who can be on your board, and involve others in the planning and delegate. And that's why you need to really build teams so that you can delegate. And some of you are going to have to work on that. Some of your positions lend themselves to creating teams, and some of them are not. Like a treasurer wouldn't, well, a treasurer can have a team. Who might be on the treasurer's team?
Financial secretary.
Financial secretary.
We don't have one.
Okay, but
One person because of our new bylaws.
do you have a budget chair?
Treasurer.
Okay, the treasurer and financial, well, the person that would be helping her, that would be the sisterhood president, your membership person who is out there monitoring the per capita, and maybe even your Torah fund chair would be on the budget team if there's a Torah fund event and it involves expenses. So no person should work alone on any job. So if you're trying to put together a budget, treasurer, call those other people and have them help you. Torah fund, do you have area directors to help you contact the sisterhoods? Or are you, okay.
Yeah, we just don't call, we called them area directors under Rumi's presidency, and they didn't work then. They're doing much better now than previously, but it's a constant, reminder. Could you reach out to them, and could you, but now we have the per capita flyer that can go out to them, and I've already reached out to all the presidents to wish them a Shana Tova, happy and healthy, and sometime during this 20 whatever days of Hagim, you should all reach out to your sisterhood presidents and just say Shana Tova, happy and healthy, or Hag Sameach for Purim, or something like that.
Okay, so that's something you need to work on, is developing your teams and assign. Now there are in your bylaws job descriptions for all these things. You all know your job descriptions. If I asked you now what it was your responsibility, would you be able to write it down? I see some yeses and some maybes. I think you need to go back to your bylaws and see those job descriptions and make sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can and that you have the help that you need to do what's under your purview. Okay, so, we talked about building teams. Okay, so how do you build a team? How can you build a team? Does anybody have an idea? Where would you go to find a team member?
Your membership
Membership of your...
of your individual sisterhood.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You find a friend of yours, ask them to help you with a region project, and put them on the team. Where else might you find, who should you be asking? Besides a member of your sisterhood, if you're working with a sisterhood president, what about inviting her to help out on something on the region board? Okay, what about the friend of yours that isn't a member of sisterhood, but might be interested in this conference coming up? Do you think you can ask her?
Backdoor it that way.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what Fern, our sisterhood president, did at, not last month, but the month before. We had a full meeting, and she asked each of us that's on the board to come back with 2 buddies to support us when we have events. She followed it up with 2 emails to all of us. So there are 10 of us on the board. 3 came back with the buddies. The others just couldn't be bothered.
But you had how many different people that had never participated before? on the,
So there were 6.
okay. So that's 6 new people that weren't there before, that may not have come unless they were.
Well, they haven't come yet. She just asked us to get the names,
Okay,
and then we'll work it in.
okay.
But the others just couldn't be bothered to do it because they said, well, why are we doing it? We can't do anything. We can't have events.
But
We
you
can't
can
get-
have,
You can have it.
We can't get them to do anything. And it was like it was a losing cause.
all right, so what might you,
Answer Kafir and tell him I'm on the Zoom. Can you come here, please?
okay, so you have to turn that into a positive.
Right, and she's trying.
Right. And not say, I can't be bothered, we're not having programming. You turn it around and say, we have some new people, we do have programming coming up. We are so excited about this, and share that with a lot of people. And then when you bring in those 6 people, maybe they'll bring in a few more people the next time and a few more after that. And that's how you grow your team. And why is it important to have a team?
So it's not just on one person.
That's right. You avoid burnout. What else could be a positive of having a team?
Leadership skills.
Ideas.
Perfect. That's right. You get new ideas. You have people, you have new leaders for the future because, you know, Elaine's been on her sisterhood board for a very long time, but someday she may want to retire.
Yes.
She says it every year.
Every year I say it. Harriet Berkowitz is a good arm twister.
You could retire after this year because I'm retiring.
No way, Harriet.
I've heard that before too, Harriet. So.
I'm working on it.
But I'm just saying that, you know, there's at some point, Harriet and Elaine will retire from their sisterhood board. If we don't have team members to build on and to bring in as the next group of leaders, sisterhood will fall apart. And none of us here want that to happen.
Renee,
Yes, Harriet.
is there any reason that the region board can't be one team rather than looking for individuals, so that, for example, that you could have a region team that one person is in charge of being the person who deals with the international president and so forth. One person is more in charge of Torah Fund. One person is more in charge of looking for educational programs. It may be that you take away the title, you still do the same function, but you work with a smaller group, and then each one then brings out its team. So that when Debbie goes to do nominating, you are, what you're being asked to do is to be a team leader under this particular circumstance, perhaps making it easier to find people to take jobs because they're not intimidated by the word vice president, president, whatever. So you could have a financial member of the team who's actually your treasurer, but you don't tell her. She just has to do the same stuff. But you understand what I'm trying to say.
I understand exactly. And that's just leading by committee is another term for that, or
But I want to do it on the region.
Renee,
I mean,
right.
Would you have to change the bylaws for that?
That's what I was just going to say. Absolutely.
Okay.
But what you could do is you could pass a policy for 1 year or 2 year or 3 years, whatever it is, and say, you know, for this term, our policy will be working as a team or as a committee or whatever you want to call it. And
well, we do have precedent.
Yes, you would need a region president.
No, because we have precedents. We did it at the Presidium years ago. And
Right.
therefore, we had one person who acted as the president when it came to being with the international. But
Right.
other than that, everything was divided out, and we worked as a team within the region.
Right. And you can do that, but like Debbie said, your bylaws right now call for certain positions,
Right.
and you would have to have a policy to do that. And I would just run it by the parliamentarian. Marilyn Berkowitz happens to be our parliamentarian,
Okay.
to Women's League parliamentarian, make sure that's okay. But that's a great idea too. A lot of sisterhoods are doing that, where they're running as a group and not by positions. And then you can bring in, I would just suggest that the president knows ahead of time who you're bringing in to help all these people too. You know, if you
So
bring
Renee,
in outside people.
I just made myself a note. I should resend the bylaws out to our board, to everyone. Again, I've sent them, you know, a few times, but I'll send them out again and then everyone will have it.
Right. Right. That's great. And then you could all look at it. You can decide what will work, what won't work, how you might want to make changes. Robin?
I just want to say, so in my previous sisterhood that we did go to that route. It didn't quite work out and went back to the positions. My current sister, where I am now, I've been there for a couple of years, and that's how it's run. They don't have president, vice president. It's just chairs, committee chairs, and they delegate out different programs, different people, chair that particular project. But I think if we go this route, I would think we would need to bring in consulting services to help us with that, because it's not just as simply as doing a presidium, or we would need, I think, guidance, because I think that's what happened in my old sisterhood. We didn't really, it didn't work out that well.
A lot of it is dependent on who's involved, how well they work together, and whether there's enough of a pool that you can build the teams within it, and how well they work together. So.
Yeah, in this case, they worked well together, but there was still kind of this board, and what happened was it almost turned into two boards. And I think it was just they didn't know how to implement it very effectively. They actually, so that's why that's just been my experience. I think it's a great idea. I do, because I think people get scared when they hear a certain title. But then when they realize what the tasks are, they realize, oh, I can do this. But I just say that we would have to really, I just think we would need training and to help implement that. That's all.
I think you need training with whatever system you use.
Right.
Training helps to be able to solidify what ideas you have in your mind and how it works with each other.
And I think for your previous sisterhood, Robin, they brought in consultants every single year. And they're still in a place where they're not.
Yeah, and I can tell you, past
team.
sisterhood, I don't want to, start airing dirty
No,
laundry.
I'm not airing. I'm just saying.
But I just want to clarify, that came off of my sisterhood presidency.
Right.
When there was actually, I had a successor, but then there was no successor after that person. And that's when we went with the presidium. And that's right around when we stopped doing the training.
Yeah.
And I really think it's just because it's a different concept than what we're used to. And that's what we really could have probably, I think, having training then probably would have made most sense. And I agree with Harriet, some of it's personalities, but in this case, it was really trying. And it just, because they didn't have the appropriate training, it didn't work out.
And
I think it's a great way to go forward, Rumi, is for nominating and let's consult on the bylaws and let's make it. If we don't try, we won't know, right?
Right.
I think that it's something to throw around. And I think the other thing that can be thrown around that is helpful on the whole thing, the first time I was a branch president, they called me, the nominating committee brought me into the meetings, that they made all the decisions they wanted. But after I agreed to accept it, they brought me in to make sure that I would be willing to work with whoever it is, rather than the idea that you put people into place and hope that they can work together. And I think that sometimes when you need to rebuild with people that either you don't know and you're willing to learn to work together, or people you do know that you can be compatible, even if it's from different sisterhoods. And I think it's an important thing that sometimes we forget to be comfortable with each other, that we have to work not as, I'm going to put someone on the board to punish you, but I'm putting someone on the board to reward you because they work well.
Yes. And that's when you form a team, you do have to keep all of that in mind. You have to have people that are good fit with each other, and that people that come open-minded and respectful, and people that are willing to accept new ideas and not just say, oh, that won't work. It didn't, because Robin, you're a great example, saying it didn't work in this one place and why it didn't, but it is working in another place and why it is. And people need to hear those kind of things. And, you have to be careful, take your time in who you choose. And if somebody doesn't work well on one team, you put them on another team. And when you do something like this, you may not need a programming VP, but maybe you'll get somebody that's in charge of just using the examples you have this year, the Hebrew Life program. And then you'll have somebody else that's in charge of the women's suffrage program, and just have different people in charge of the different programs and not put it all on one person. And so it also, in this kind of environment that everybody's living in, not everybody wants to commit that much time to be in charge of a big project. So there's a lot to consider. We can do a whole 2 hours on just team building. We can do a whole 2 hours on restructuring a board. Tonight was just to remind people about some responsibilities and moving forward. So there's some great ideas.
So on that note, can I say thank you to you, Renee, for doing what I think is a fabulous education talk for us tonight. And this is probably our longest North Atlantic Region board meeting, but it was certainly well worth it. And I know I made some great notes, and I need to send some things out to people, and we know where to find you.
Absolutely. And if I don't come back, we have a whole team of consultants that can come and help you with whatever you decide moving forward. So please just contact me and I'll get you set up. And again, Shana Tova. And
Shana Tova.
Email me anytime if you have questions, and good luck with moving forward on this. This sounds like something that you can work on, this and conference, and some great ideas coming up for your.
We have a few things to get us through this year, because God knows we have way too many emails right now.
I know. Yes, we do. And thank goodness for the holidays, because we get 3 days
downtime.
Yes.
Yeah, that's too.
Yes. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you so much.
All right, Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.